Hi everyone, Jack the Life Man here. Hope all is well with you today. Today is January the 8th, and I've been getting a lot of feedback on some of my blogging, and in particular some positive and some negative feedback on the 4-Hour Body. I read this book. It's a #1 bestseller now in the States for the last month, I believe. He's had another bestseller previous to that called The 4-Hour Workweek, which a lot of people know. Tim Ferris is a pretty famous guy. Young guy, considers himself a scientist. And I thought this guy was nuts. I will admit to you, he does seem a little crazy. And so what I decided to do was to put his little theory to the test. So it's going to sound hardcore, and not everybody's going to agree with it, but so far it's worked. And it's a way of eating or a way of living that I think that I could actually connect to and keep with. I don't want to put that in stone yet, but the 4-Hour Body, it's not just a book about weight loss, obviously. It's a book about a whole bunch of different cool things that you can try to do with his results behind it. 300 people did this test from what he says, I believe, and he tested it out even on himself, the reaction of food by basically implanting some sort of advice that read how his body reacted to the glycemic index of food entering his body and what factor it played on his body. So it's a phenomenal book to read, but better yet, the slow carb diet, as what he calls it. I'd rather not call it a diet, but it is what it is. It's very simple to follow. A lot of you are going to argue, a lot of you are going to say this is crazy, it's impossible, and my wife is one of those people. But you know what, after seeing the results, she's kind of blown away. It's only been about 2.5 weeks for me now, and I'm down 10 pounds. I was at about 199, 200 varying scales, and now I'm down to about 189, 190. And here's the rules, very simple. #1, avoid all white carbs. So anything like rice, pasta, bread. Everybody knows that. I mean, I know that my body just does not react well to that stuff, and I tend to put on a lot of weight when I eat it. So it's something I always wanted to cut out. I just didn't have, I wasn't challenged enough to do it. But I have been doing it now, and it's not as hard as I thought it would be. The second rule is to cut out all fruit. That one is the most controversial, I think, of all. Cutting out fruit. If you had told me that I would be able to cut out fruit, I would have told you you're nuts. But it's been really, really easy. And there's some tips, you know, to dealing with those cravings. Sugar-free Jell-O is one of them. I find that maybe a handful of peanuts, maybe once a day, is also a very good way to deal with your sugar cravings. But I've been doing it again, like 2.5 weeks now, coming on 3, and the results speak for themselves. The other rule that he has but hasn't quite stated, I guess would have made it too extreme, is to cut out dairy or limit it drastically. I cut it out completely. In my coffee, I've been putting in cinnamon. Sometimes I will put in a little touch of cream, very rarely, but cinnamon is actually a great it's a great form of sweetening, not only because of the taste, but also because of the fact that it actually has been proven to lower your glycemic index on food by 30%, which is pretty amazing. So I've been adding that to my coffee, no more than about a teaspoon a day of cinnamon. From what he says, it can have some adverse effects. So cutting out dairy, cutting out the white carbs. You are allowed beans. So my wife and I have been making a Mexican bean salad once a week. We've been adding that to our breakfast, to our lunch, and to our dinner. There's a big secret. I don't know what the secret is there, but obviously with the amount of fiber that's in the beans, there is sugar obviously in beans, but it seems to really slow down my cravings, my appetite, and speed up my metabolism, because I guess because of the added fiber in there, which everybody knows is good for you. One rule that he has here is don't drink your calories. So no fruit juices, no pop with sugar, and if you are going to have any pop at all, he limits it to 1 Diet Coke or 1 diet drink a day. I guess from what he's saying, there is an effect with artificial sweeteners, and they can be just as bad as sugar. And then the best rule of all is you have 1 day to go completely nuts. Now, you don't have to go nuts if you don't want to, but I mean, I like to. So what I do is I actually make a list of all the foods that I crave sometimes during the week, and then on that one particular day, there is some structure to what he does. There is kind of a structure in what you should eat first, like your breakfast should be a great meal to start off with, and then you should always have like a coffee and some sort of a high fruit drink, almost like a grapefruit juice. It's very much explained in the book, so the book is definitely a great buy. It's not just that he talks about, but for example, I've been posting on Facebook what I've been eating, cupcakes and pizza and ice cream cake, and people think I'm nuts, but you know what? It's great because the next day I've got all that stuff out of my system, and that's what he actually encouraged. So I would recommend you can check out my posts on Facebook, or you can visit me at my site www.lifeman.ca. Check out my progress, listen to some of my results, some of the stuff I've been using. I also use P90X with this as well. Bring it. And I'm just trying to give you guys as a guinea pig as much information as I can, stuff that I've been doing that I think will help you out with some of the issues that you have. I know a lot of people struggle with ups and downs with weight loss, and I happen to be one of those people. So, Life Man out. Pleasure speaking to you guys. Take care.